silence in the temple of peace, in the temple of silence, in the temple of peace. I will meet thee, I will touch thee, I will love thee, and coax thee to my altar of peace, and coax thee to my altar of peace, in the temple of samadhi, in the temple of bliss, in the temple of samadhi, in the temple of bliss. I will meet thee, I will.
Welcome. I love you all with all my heart. Thank you for coming today. It didn't work out last Sunday. There was something wrong with Weebly, I guess. You know, I'm really perplexed why our Sangha has remained so small. I see the spiritual world as so fractured, chaotic, basically a materialistic marketplace for who can best present teachings that will attract the most people. Some teachers are sincere. They want to help their students. Many are just in it for the livelihood. Many of it feel a need to be a teacher as an authority figure. Many do it to help others. Some, like my teacher Robert, was forced into it. Because of Parkinson's and advancing age, he couldn't do anything, as he said, so what choice did he have except to be a teacher and pass along the enlightenment that he had experienced 50 years before? The difference in our Sangha is my emphasis on emotions and on being a human being. In a sense, it's a lot more Christian than most of the teachers on Facebook and that are popular, like Tolly, Sailor Bob, my teacher Robert Adams, Ramana, Nisargadatta. In a sense, they're all nihilists. The world doesn't exist. The world isn't important. Only you exist. If it weren't for you, there would be no world. The world is an illusion. Your body is illusion. You're a spirit. Spirit only. And they downplay emotions. They downplay interrelationships. Just be yourself. Others don't really exist except in your imagination and your mind. There's kind of a profound insanity in the spiritual marketplace. A lot of very confused people following a lot of teachers that have no business teaching. But I'm not for setting up a system of judging teachers and allowing them to be a teacher, like becoming a doctor, going through various trainings and internships, or a psychologist and taking the long test. because that makes one very conventional. You would have a lot of very similar teachers who weren't very deep. You know, there's a lot to be said for suffering. The death of a parent. The death of a son or a daughter. The death of my father. The death of my grandfather, who I love deeply. The death of my cats. So many died in the last 20 years, and I love them all. One just recently died a month and a half ago. Charlie. Before that, Lakshmi. Now I have one in the other room that's dying of kidney failure. Loki. Loss of your house. Loss of your livelihood. Loss of youth. Loss of virility. Loss of a relationship, someone you love very deeply, with a very painful split and ending, and no further communication from somebody but still deeply in your heart. What to do, what to do. It's so many teachers don't deal with these issues. Christian teachers do. But the Eastern teachers, not so much. I heard Frances Lucille said to someone who talked about the death of somebody very close to her and how she was suffering from it. And he says, there is no I. There is no you. There's no one to suffer. It's all in your imagination. What kind of teacher is that? To deny your very existence. To deny your pain. To deny your suffering. And say it doesn't exist, you're making yourself sick. What kind of idiocy is that? Just deny the pain. Deny the importance of the other person who died or left. And go deep in yourself and find happiness. Well, you can do that. You can go deep in yourself. And you can find bliss and you can find happiness. But it's hard to maintain. I'd like any of you to go to Jan Essman. See some of his videos on YouTube. I just recently saw one where he talks about what it's like to be enlightened. And he talks about the coming of bliss and how it's stabilized and how he's in Sahaja Samadhi, and he hopes all of you someday can join him in this Sahaja Samadhi. But if you look at Jan, he's not credible. His face twitches. He appears agitated. He appears frightened. He doesn't come across as real. As Francis Bennett said after he saw 10 minutes of the tape, if Jan is an advertisement for Samadhi, I don't want any. Take a look at Nisargadatta. There's several tapes of him in satsang. He's nervous. He's angry. Throw things around. He's rude. Smokes incessantly. Chain smokes even while he's in satsang. But most of all, you can see irritation and anger through him. even while he talks about the unreality of the world and of the I am, the self. And yet he's a brilliant writer. Nobody's better than him. But take a look at the person who's talking. What do you feel in him when you look at him? It's a lot different than what you feel when you read him. Then there are other teachers around. I want you to look at them closely. Maybe turn off the sound when you're one of their YouTube talks and just watch how they move, how they smile or don't smile. Listen to the sound of their voice. Is there peacefulness there? Is there anger there? Is there love in their voice? Feel the person from your heart. Don't judge just by your looks, by his looks or her looks, whether she's pretty and young or old and wrinkled. Look into their soul. Now, I've had a lot of students leave me. Usually it's without knowing the reason why. It's just that one day I get an email, an angry email, about what a rotten person and a rotten teacher I am, and that they found a better teacher. Let me see. One was, I forget his name. I don't know what the teacher was, but he had been with a Kundalini guru for 11 years and then left him because he thought he was abusing his students. And he came to me, and he was full of interest and excitement in the teachings of becoming yourself, knowing yourself, finding the I am inside of yourself, becoming human, feeling the emotions and the energies at the same time that are generated in our Sangha. Kundalini, whatever the energies are. One day he got very angry and broke off an upcoming dinner we were supposed to have with his wife. And just refused to talk to me ever since then. Refused to see me face to face. I have no idea what happened. And then more recently, when Dia was in town, there was a person that came to our Sangha with his wife. And he was very devoted, musician. And one day, he suddenly got very angry, accused me of driving Dia insane, said he found another teacher, and goodbye, thank you. This is a mystery to me, why people come here and why they leave. Have you any idea why you're really here? Many of you have been here for quite some time, so you've heard this before. What are you looking at from me? What are you looking at for you? What is it that you want? What is it that you feel you don't have? What is it that you think I can give you? I can only tell you about what works for me and what works for some of my students. And what has worked for me out of the hundreds of spiritual practices I've done over years is looking within, primarily in the area of the heart, the chest, finding the sense that you exist, finding the I am, the feeling of me, and just abiding there, sort of falling into that sense of self, falling into that sense of me, your fundamental experience of existing, resting there in the I am. And if you want, talk to the I am. Make a friend of it. Feel it from within. Watch it with your inner vision in the emptiness inside. Soon, sooner than you think, you'll feel a sense of presence spread throughout your body. It's like almost like a ghost, a Holy Ghost within you. The sense of presence is like a different body within your body. Some call it the energy body. Some could call it the subtle body. It could be called the chi body or the meridians. But it's an energy field within you, within your physical body. That's different from the physical body, but connected to your physical body. This is a body of energies and sensitivities. And this body can feel into the world more accurately than your vision can see into it, more nuancedly than your brain can figure out what's going on in the world. You can see the world from your heart through that sense of presence. It feels like a ghost within you and about you that is you. It's sensitive. It's as sensitive as the supposed princess who could feel a pea through 20 mattresses. And yet it's utterly powerful, with all the power and energy that you can imagine. It wraps you in bliss, for it gradually turns into a bliss body. Just stay with the I am. Stay focused on me, your sense of me, your sense of I, what Ramana called the true I, not the false I of the different kinds of intellectual constructs we have of ourselves, like I am a man, I am a woman, I am wealthy, I am educated, I'm a professor, I'm a loser, I'm homeless, I'm a junkie. Whatever these ideas we have about ourselves. Get deeper than that. Go into your heart, where the mind cannot follow. And dwelling in there, feel your I am. Feel that sense of self. Feel that emptiness within. The third eye can become illumined just by paying attention to the insides of yourself constantly. The sense of presence grows stronger and stronger. The sense of bliss grows stronger and stronger. The I am grows stronger and stronger. And then you begin feeling happy. Maybe not at first. Maybe it takes a year to get there. Maybe 2 years. And a lot of emotional stuff starts coming up. The deeper you go in yourself, often it triggers emotional releases. Usually of elation, joy, bliss, and it's counterbalanced by an opposite and negative affect, such as grief, various kinds of psychotic-like hallucinations or misperceptions of reality where things change and become alive. The inner energy, you can see it in the external world, where a door will dance, walls will shimmer with electricity. These are all reflections of developing internal stuff in yourself being projected outwards. And for me, it's been one long trip of sadness coming over and over and over, of a feeling of deadness, a feeling of depression. This came to me over and over again, broken up by times of feeling the I am, feeling the electricity, the bliss, and then would come grief, sadness, depression. It wouldn't last long, but it could be deep. Maybe 3 days, 4 days. Sometimes a low-level depression. I'm talking about post-enlightenment, lasting a week or two. But I learned to, so to speak, eat that depression by allowing it to come into my heart. Unprotected, I would invite it into me, to feel it fully, not running away, not hiding from it, not trying to repress it, not trying to get busy to find something else to do so I don't feel the feelings. There would also be periods of fear, not often. There would be periods of anger, more frequently. But the sadness, the many losses I've had in my life, the cats, my father, all my other relatives, my grandmother, uncles, aunts, close students that would leave, were heartbreaking. And I would go into that sadness, go into that loss as deeply as possible, feeling the grief, feeling the loss, what they meant to me, and sometimes anger associated with that loss. Why did they go? Why did they die? Why did they leave me? And after a while, sometimes minutes, sometimes hours, sometimes days, that feeling would suddenly flip and turn into the most exquisite bliss. My heart, my body would be filled with joy, because underneath the sadness, underneath the fear and the depression, even underneath the feeling of I am, was the most incredible bliss and happiness and joy. So, never was I hounded by depression as I was 20 years ago, or fear 30 years ago. The emotions were just emotions. They weren't bottomless pits of destruction and death. They were merely feelings. Feelings having to do with relationship and lost relationship. Feelings of disappointment. Feelings of loss and grief. Loneliness sometimes. Always transmuted into bliss. And when this happens enough times, you don't fear emotions anymore. You don't fear the loss of people in your life. You don't fear loneliness. Because ultimately, there's bliss and rest, contentment. And I'm amazed that this message isn't working for people. So few come and stay, while other teachers are teaching the most ridiculous things, self-destructive things, things that don't work or will paint one inside of a trap of endless withdrawal and denial. And you get to a place of peace, but at the cost of losing your humanity. I think Ramana Maharshi, how he got to be the so-called world teacher and the most enlightened man around that everybody tries to imitate and say is their source. That man was frighteningly non-complete. Ramana was a one-note teacher. The world is an illusion. Other people are illusion. There's only you. My own teacher, Robert, had the same vision. There was only consciousness, and he was consciousness. The world was not real, it's only an appearance. And I hear this every day on Facebook and in the spiritual marketplace. That which changes is not real. Only that which does not change is real. So look for that in you that does not change. And the teachers find two or three different things that this is supposed to be. The first is emptiness, or the void, that Zen speaks of. It's feeling the space that fills the world and one's own inner subjectivity. It's like a vacuum of space. You can develop a complete grasp of this within a year of meditating a lot inside, just going inside and staying there, poking around, looking into the darkness, feeling what's in there, looking what's in there with your inner vision. And the light gradually turns on and the space is illumined inside, and you feel the emptiness. The emptiness permeates everything, all inner objects, all external objects. The space outside and the space inside are one. And it's peaceful in the sense that the space is the container of everything. All feelings, all thoughts, all visions, all everything. It even feels the body, all the body feeling, the body sensation. I feel my spine, I can feel my chest, feel my breathing, but that vacuum, that void, penetrates all of that. It's like all forms exist within emptiness. And the Heart Sutra of Zen says, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Feeling, thought, and consciousness are also like this. Everything disappears into emptiness. Everything comes from emptiness. And while the forms are here, they're interpenetrated by emptiness. And in a sense, that does not change. The emptiness does not change. But how is that more real? You see, what I find to be real are my feelings, even though they're penetrated by emptiness. My heartfelt need to reach out and touch another person, to love them, and to give them the joy that I feel. Give them the knowledge that I have of the heart, of emptiness, of fullness, of bliss, and say, you can find it too. My computer wants to do something. I gotta stop it. Another thing is, and this is Nisargadatta's point of view, would be that even the void, as constant as it is still just another experience. So when you go to sleep or you die, that void will disappear. It's an experience of seeing the container of all experiences, but itself is experienced by the witness. The witness which is entirely beyond consciousness so to speak, in a different world, a different dimension. And this witness cannot be witnessed itself. You can only be the witness and reside as the witness, watching the world. Now, you can watch the world with a studied disinterest. You can watch the world passively. Or, as what's his name points out, having no head. What was his name? Harding. He wrote several books, one of them which is on having no head. If you have a silent mind, knowing you're the center of the universe, and just resting in the center, becoming, as he put it, the sentient meatball of the brain and the head, seeing out into the world, knowing you're the center, and just staying there, what you become is the totality of all that's around you. All that's around you fills you into a unity consciousness where you're one with the world, as seen, heard, tasted, touched. All boundaries disappear. And in that witness state, you become everything. Now this is what Toll does not talk about, and the other Neo-Advaitins don't talk about. And lastly, there is the two kinds of witnesses that the Neo-Advaitins talk about, which is beingness, the supposed substance that they are when their mind is silent, and they can perceive the world with an empty mind. This they call being in the now. And this is the only reality, which is nowness, and whatever presents itself in nowness. But whatever presents itself is, in a sense, denied, because they also talk about only nowness is real, not what arises in nowness. To me, all of this shit is too intellectual, too partial, too inhuman, too intellectual. There's no heart there. The spiritual teachers that teach Advaita, they may talk about love like Ramana. They're kind of cold. Nisargadatta is kind of cold. Robert Adams, my teacher, is very cold. I've come to the conclusion that somebody that is integrated and complete as a human would really have a hard time reaching any kind of enlightenment that's talked about in books. Because these are dead-end gurus. Ramana will take you to a place of extreme detachment, and you will find great peace there. But you're not a complete person in any way, shape, or form. He was weighted on hand and foot, and when he wasn't weighted on hand and foot, he nearly died inside of a temple, not having moved. People fed him, rescued him, cleaned his wounds. But after that, he didn't move, except to take a walk around the mountain and to give talks about the Ribu Gita. He had no teachings of his own until scholars kept bringing him books of Advaita, and he'd say, oh yeah, that's my experience too. Oh yeah, that's my experience too. And gradually he was taught Advaita by the scholars that visited him, but essentially he had nothing of his own except to repeat that and the peace he felt. My own teacher, Robert Adams, was the same way. He said the world was not real. You are not real. You don't exist. And when he said you don't exist, everybody in the Sangha laughed as if he told a big joke. So he told it over and over again, and every time he'd say, "You don't exist," people would laugh. As if it were a joke, but he didn't mean it as a joke. For him, himself did not exist. For him, consciousness was all that there was. There was no human in Robert. When somebody died, there was no tears shed. Briefly, when his mother died, he felt a tear because people told him he should be crying. So he did. He started bawling then. But in the 8 years I saw him, nothing affected him, positive or negative. I don't want you to be like that. I don't want to turn my Sangha into a Sangha full of non-feeling, non-existing zombies. I want you to be able to feel and to relate to each other as human beings, with anger, with love, with jealousy, with attachment. Complete human beings able to feel the complete range of emotions. Being functional, being able to function in the world. Being able to, if it's possible, to work or survive without working. However you do that. But I don't want you to get rid of your feelings. I want you to use your feelings to find your true self. And by your true self, I mean God within you. When you truly can love others strongly, when you feel that love in yourself for another strongly, and you feel it ever more strongly until the love is so strong that there's nothing else there for you but love, then you see that you are love. You identify with the experience of love, and you become love itself. I call this exploring one room in the spiritual mansion that is you. Emptiness is another room. The void is another room. Bliss is another room. Sorrow is another room. Depression is another room. But there's one very important room that I want you to discover. And that is yourself, who is God. And when you get to the place where you feel you are love yourself, and the love is so intense that it's raining out of you, flowing out of you, you're very close to enlightenment. And by enlightenment, I mean having that self which arises out of the deep sense of presence you have, or descends. Some people feel it as a descending into you rather than arising from within you, of light and infinite power, of grace and bliss, so strong that you become dissipated, or else you become a tiny little witness watching God arise within you or descending into you as sentience, as awareness, as your ability to feel the world, the ability to feel yourself. The sentience itself becomes infused with God. And by that, it's so hard to explain, but it's an experience you've never had or rarely had, of being totally devotional, totally loving and surrendered to this entity that arises within you or descends into you, which is comprised of light and energy and bliss and the certain knowledge that you are that. If anything, the most profound part of this experience, at least for me, was after 40 or 50 years of spiritual search without having a clue as to what the hell was going on. I knew for the first time who I was as spirit, as God, as sentience, as love. As all of those rooms in the spiritual mansion, they were all me. And I was free to pass from room to room to room. But always the light was on now, the light of the knowledge of God, the light of knowledge of self. But so many teachers want to put you in one room. The room of being no self. The room of being emptiness. The room of being alive in Christ. One room. Jan Essman, Sahaja Samadhi. Hope you can get here someday and join me. You'll be very lucky if you do. I only charge $150 for enlightenment. These one-roomers are not human. Ramana was not human. Nisargadatta was not human. Robert was not human. Jan is not human. They're not teachers for our time, our space. They're teachers for a kind of monasticism where you're withdrawn from the world and can't function because you're in some sort of nirvana or unending bliss, and certainly not responsive to other people who are merely illusions in your life. Okay. Enough of the bullshit. Let us have a chant. And this time, let us get a nice lively one. What's a lively one like? Well, okay, Krishna Das, the right-hand side, the third one down. Radha, Radhe is spelled Radhi, Shyam, fast, 6 minutes. At the count of 4, once again, become empty as you can. Feel the sound of the chant come into you and permeate your body, circulating in your chest like the energies I feel and you feel during satsang. I hope most of you are feeling the energies like I feel now, because they're kind of joyous, they're kind of happy energies throughout my whole body, throughout my sense of presence. Feel this chant go into you and turn into this bliss within you. Feel the chant within you, identify with the chant, and feel the joy of the chant. At the count of 4, Radha Shyam. 1, 2, 3. So, what I teach is self-realization. Not the abstract realization of Ramana, or where you become the witness of Nisargadatta. But the realization of yourself as a multi-dimensional being with certain knowledge of who you are, that sentience within you, the life form within you, is no other than God. And you and God are one. At first you feel like a junior partner, but after a while, the identification becomes permanent, and you know yourself as the divine, that sentience within you, the life force within you, is divinity itself. It is Christ. One cannot come to the Father except through me, through sentience, through the I am, through the self. And after your self-realization experience, every moment of the day, you are there as self, within you. Not only as being Maggie and Max and Enrique and Paul, Ed, Matthew, Dinesh, Robert, Nadine. But you feel the God within you, the life force within you, the aliveness within you, the love within you. But mostly, there is a knowledge that you are. I am. I cannot be discounted. I cannot be denied. I cannot be shoved away and placed in just the witness position. I am. I am the life. I am the way. I am the knowledge. I am the joy. Every moment reeks of gravitas, the power of self within you, the life force within you, your multidimensional being, a physical body, an energy body, the one that knows nothing, like during sleep, bliss body, life, the Holy Ghost, Christ. In everything you do, all of these partial identifications are within you. You can adopt any one of them as your own for as long as you want. But you don't have to stay in one place, into the void or the vacuum, into the coldness of the void, or the spaciousness of the void, or the peace of the void, or of the peace of being beyond consciousness altogether as the witness. For God has entered you and has become you, and you have become him or her. And now you can wander anywhere, within and without, and be at home. These are all rooms in yourself. Bliss, joy, despair, physical body, subtle body, Turiya, self-realization, God, one's own self. Always there. Always there. The self is always there within you, as you. the most important thing in your life is this constant kissing between you and God that occurs within your heart. I guess this could be considered a one-room too, with a one-point guru, always kissing God. But you can do it in any other room. You can do it anywhere. And you're a full human being with attachments, with love, with anger, with peace, joy, passing depression. There's something wonderful about depression if you know how to live with it. When it descends, sometimes it descends for no reason. Sometimes there's a reason of death. Something else. Somebody goes away. Loss. Animal dies. And it descends. Feel it as like a heavy blanket coming down on you, covering your head and enclosing your body. But if you pay attention to it, not fight it, it's taking you somewhere. Although for some it feels like they're being choked or smothered. If it's accepted, if that feeling is accepted and loved, it's really heavy for a feeling. It's more like a mood that overcomes you. It'll take you deep inside yourself, into that emptiness, into that, if your emptiness is dark, it'll take you into a dark emptiness, and if it's lighted from many years of meditation, it'll be the lighted emptiness, and you'll descend deeper and deeper and deeper into your own consciousness, into your own being. It gets quieter and quieter and stiller, and you're unable to move, or you don't want to move. And there's a deep peace associated with it. It's like dying and an acceptance of dying. And as you sink into your body, the feeling of your body, you're sinking into God, so to speak. You're sinking into what one day will let you know you are God. You're sinking into that sentient space, an empty sentience of life that one day will announce itself to you as God. So that depression, which seems so horrible, and it's like, makes you so incapable of doing things, dysfunctional, is really taking you home. It's forcing you home. But most people don't look to where depression is taking them. Of course, a lot depends on how much meditation you've done and what your inner world is like when it comes, whether it's a lighted inner world, or it's a spacious inner world, or it's a darkness, how much inner work you've done to sow the field, so to speak. But for me, when depression comes, and it rarely comes now, and if it does, it's gone in 3 or 4 days, and it's not as deep as it could be, unless I really work at it and increase it to go deeper. It takes me deep, deep down inside, like through my head, through my mouth, into my chest, neck and chest, and settles down into the gut, taking my awareness with it, sweeping me with its energy, sweeping me down into the interior self, where I can enjoy myself, because it's so silent down here, so lonely down here in a sense, so isolated, so cut off from the world. I can only be myself in the depths of myself. So each of those times that you feel this sadness, depression, or grief coming, don't fight it. Don't fight it. Let it take you. Let it take you where it will. Just lie down and say, what the fuck? I'm calling in sick. And you call your boss and say, for the next 4 days I'm not coming in. I've got the bad flu. And I'll be in bed, so don't call. And just go with it. Go with it. Go down with it. It is such a delightful experience when you learn to love depression, sadness, and grief, and what it's showing you. It's showing you your deepest self. Usually it has to do with attachments. People die. A broken heart. And that suffering will take you to the deepest place within yourself. The root, the God source. Over and over again it takes you down there. And you don't know that it's happening. It's preparing you for God realization, for self-realization. And you say, Ed, you're full of shit. When I get depressed, I can't do anything. Yeah, that's right. You're not supposed to do anything. It's taking you inwards to yourself. Most people spend 95% of their time in the world with other people, thinking about what they have to do, work, getting things done, moving a truck, buying a car, taking care of the kids, etc., etc. They don't have time to be inside. But depression allows you to take a break. You have an excuse for doing nothing except being inside of yourself, sinking into yourself. It's what you feel when you meditate too. It's the same feeling. When you meditate, you withdraw your attention from the external world. Put it on the I am. Let the I am sink within you. It's the same feeling, except with depression it's involuntary. With meditation, it's voluntary. So learn from depression, just like you can learn from love for another. Are there any questions?